0-0 draw today, which unfortunately relegated us. Obviously a very disconsolate Gavin, and as we all Gav. And the first question I want to ask you is, what have you just said to the players, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, listen, emotions are running high in the dressing room in respect of it. So the main thing is that we have an obligation with a number of games still to play for our supporters, to be at our best and to be absolutely putting maximum effort into getting as many points as we can. That can sometimes be difficult for lads to pick themselves up. In truth, I don't know, because it's the first dressing room I've been in which has been relegated. But you know, it's hard. It's a hard one in there. Even though we knew we were up against it, it's a hard one in there, and we have to acknowledge that it's not today that's relegated us. It's been, you know, a series of games that has. And the first thing that I think they need to know, and need to know sincerely from me, is that it's my responsibility, and that's as simple as it is. I'm not looking for anything else. Obviously, we realise how hard it is for our club at this level, and it is. There's no question. But that still doesn't mean that you accept that you're going to be an also-ran, because you know, we've worked a miracle before, and we felt we could do it again. And so my overriding factor, as it was when we got promoted, was to think of the supporters, and think about you know, the individuals certainly that I've seen regular home and away for this football club, who've travelled up and down you know, the south of the country to support us, and I feel desperately sorry for them, and I feel desperately responsible.
Yeah, Gavin, having survived on the last of the season a year ago, obviously the league, as you've said many times, has been much stronger than it was last season. In the end, I guess this is very hard going. I guess a step too far in the end, given how strong the league was this season.
Well, it is at the moment, because you know, we find ourselves in the position that we're in. You know, we spoke in the summer on many occasions, and I spoke to other members of the press, and you know, I acknowledged, and it was very, very clear from the summer through recruitment, that how difficult this was going to be for a club like us, simply because of what we are and how we function. That shouldn't be a negative. That should be an acknowledgement of how far we've actually come. And I don't want to go down that line of talking about remember where we were. It's not about that. We've got relegated, and I will always feel that we should have done better.
From a personal standpoint, it must be particularly painful, given that you've never experienced this before in your managerial career.
Well, I think if you stay in management long enough, then it's possibly going to come round, you know, at some point, or you're certainly going to be in a battle for it. So no, I mean, you know, it's not. You know, I don't look at it and think, well, I'm immune from being in these types of things. You know, I knew how hard this season was going to be, and I did, and I said it from the very start. But at no point did I feel, at no point till that final whistle blew, in some respects, did I feel that, you know, I felt we could still be alive. That's the truth. And we're trying everything at it to be alive, and just didn't have any quality today in respect to the game.
Which is, you said many times, one of the failings throughout the season. You said at the start of this interview that it wasn't today that relegated us. I guess that lack of quality is a very strong part of ultimately what happened over the season as a whole.
Well, look, you know, players have run their socks off, but you know, I think we all acknowledge that, you know, the bigger players that we see in this league don't come to Enfield Town. That's the simple view. You know, so you have to work a little bit smarter and a little bit harder, and you have to try and get people like Hayden Bullas and people like that you can get on season long. I absolutely understand it, but that doesn't mean you fail. That's not where I'm at. So, you know, as a game today, I thought it was pretty much one of the worst games of football I'd seen in a long time. I think the pitch made it very difficult, and I must acknowledge there are some really hard-working people here who work with limited resources with the pitch, and it's been really, really good this season. Been a vast improvement on last season, but it was hard and it played, as a hard pitch would. So it wasn't a lot of quality today from both teams, I didn't feel, and it would have been good to have kept it alive.
I'm not going to ask you about the way forward, Gavin. It's much too early, straight after a game, but straight after this particular game. But is there a case of showing, I don't know, pride, respectability in the last 3 games?
There absolutely is.
Yeah.
There absolutely is. I tried to say to the players, put yourselves in the supporters' shoes. Okay, that I'm sure good numbers will travel to Weston-super-Mare next week. Long journey. Put yourself in their shoes. That they'll be right behind you again, looking for a performance, looking for a win. Will believe there can be a win, and you've got to mirror that. You've got to be that extension of me, and that's exactly where I am. We'll as a management team be working towards training on Thursday to give us the best chance to be going and get a win at a very difficult Weston-super-Mare.
Not many options today, Gavin. Talking about the match itself, Cassie injured late on, I understand, and Eli has another trial. I think Wickham Wanderers. So you were short, particularly in attacking options on the bench today.
Well, the Cassie one we didn't see coming. It's the truth. So we felt that Eli with his trial that we should let him go with that because we had Cassie and then Cassie's a very, very late call out on that one. So George called it before the game really. So all of a sudden your best laid plans as you say you don't have those attacking options. So it becomes very much a chess game of trying to put something together while you're trying to change the game, and that sometimes becomes a little bit unorthodox. Henry going up front, for instance, but that's just how it fell for today. Unfortunately, I didn't foresee that one coming. Is the truth.
Yeah. Well, Henry is out, of course, against Western on Saturday, but you've said many times that you sort of owe it to other teams to give it a go, and I guess particularly the playoff chasing teams will expect us to try and get something at Western on Saturday.
It's an element of it. You look inward first of all, and you look at your players, and you look at them as young men and think, what have you got about you? Come on, you've got to get yourself out there, will yourself out there. I've got to start planning and preparing for Saturday. And
how hard will that be, Gavin?
So they know that actually won't be difficult at all, because when I step back and I have to take a step backwards and go right. And for all the reasons I've said to you, particularly our supporters, I need to do a job. In those final games, and that needs to extend through the players, and it needs to extend then hopefully through results. It's as simple as it is. But yeah, as we have today, we've given it a good go against the playoff chasing side, and we'll do the same next week. As difficult as that one will be, and we do it to other teams, but it's really first and foremost looking inward. The O2 supports, and that's the truth.
And is there a chance? I'm trying to dig out as many positives as I can. There aren't many, Gav, but is there a case that perhaps the shackles might come off in the last 3 games, given that our fate is sealed and we actually have got nothing to lose now, I guess?
I would hope that, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I would hope that 4 or 5 games ago that we were playing with really without something to lose.
Mm.
We were chasing. We've been chasing for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
So really and truthfully, we're the team without anything to lose. We're the ones who've got to put points on the board. So I would hope that that doesn't materialise. I would hope that we're professional about what we do. We're measured about what we do. We've got a game plan about what we do, and we go out and execute it. Because I think on our day we can match anybody in the league. But that day hasn't been often enough, and that's the truth.
Just lastly, Gavin, two great seasons at Step 2. Everyone's enjoyed it. Who's to say that we can't come back up? I mean, what would you say that the lessons have been learned from the last couple of seasons, and how do you foresee the club potentially, if it's not too early to ask you, climbing back up to National League South?
I think there's a lot of things that have got to be done differently. If you're asking me, I'm not shying away from the playing side of things, but we need to become a Step 2 club. if I can put that in that sort of phrase. And I think we are, you know, in some respects still probably was too soon for us to come, you know, if I'm honest. And there are a lot of things that we need to start thinking a little bit more like Step 2 club. At the moment, I don't feel that's in our capabilities. And I don't say that in any shape or form as a criticism of anybody, but I think probably we've jumped too soon. And this league now has massively stepped on. You know, unders came out of it 4 or 5 years ago, and we'll tell you that and how it stepped on. And you know, yes, the playing side, massive lessons to be learned in that. But as a club and a foundation, we need to maybe just look at what we can improve in that respect. Because what I do know is that Step 3, a lot of those clubs are putting those measures into place, and you know, we'll be in a good place. You know, in a good place to get promoted and stay promoted.
Thank you, Gavin. See you at Western.